Did you know I have a totally free 1-hour training that thousands of therapists just like you have attended, where I'll teach you how to market and grow your private practice on Instagram? Sign up at the link in the show notes. I'm sharing how I earned $250,000 my first year in private practice with private pay clients from Instagram, and how you can do it too. Learning to showcase your expertise and market your private practice on social media will help you increase your income, reduce your caseload, and help thousands of people with their mental health online. Head to the show notes and register now. Welcome to the Business of Therapy podcast, where we're ditching the blank slate mentality and giving therapists full permission to show up authentically online and chase their dream 6-figure private practice. I'm your host, Kelly McKenna, licensed therapist, business coach, and content creator. I have made it my personal mission to help other therapists make a boatload of money and do it while working with clients they love and without sacrificing their work-life balance. I've been through the very same journey that you're on now. After ditching burnout, starting my own private practice, earning $250,000 my very first year, and scaling way beyond that, I'm here to give you all the behind the scenes. And in this podcast, I'm holding nothing back. You'll hear all the specific strategies, wins, failures, and lessons learned to help you build your very own 6-figure private practice and see that the business of therapy can truly be a lucrative one. Let's do this. Hello. I am excited for today's episode because it feels a little bit different than what I usually talk about, and in some ways, very much the same. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how I pay my son over $15,000 per year to show up and basically be a model in my Instagram content. And this feels a little bit different because I think it's a little bit more focused on like content creator, family, but it also really feels very in line with my niche. You know that I always like to share transparently about finances. And this is something that I think a lot of people do. I hope a lot of people do, but isn't really talked about too often. So I'm going to first sort of start off this episode by sharing my thought process behind this, how and why I'm paying my child. And then I'm going to share the plan that my accountant laid out for me in terms of logistically, how do you pay your child? What are the things to consider, legalities, all of that. And then we will talk about the nitty gritty finances of it, what I'm doing for him in terms of investment, retirement from this, all of that. So let's dive in. I did want to start off by prefacing, I know that there is a lot of debate of whether or not you should show kids' faces online. That is not going to be the purpose of today's episode. Of course, I think that every mom, every family should do what feels good to you. Of course, yes, there are risks with privacy, with AI, with consent, all of that. And you have to do what is best for you. For me personally, right now, it feels okay for me to share my son's face online. But as he gets older, I may change my mind or he may change his mind, in which case I will stop doing this, right? But for now, it feels okay. I really, really enjoy sharing him with you guys. I don't have a personal Instagram page anymore. And so, I have friends, family, everything is sort of on my Sit with Kelly Instagram page. And I really enjoy sharing him. Motherhood has become such a big new identity for me. And it's been really fun to sort of lean into it more. And yeah, I've just enjoyed it. And it feels like the benefits outweigh the risks at this point in time. I do have a large audience, almost 90,000 followers on Sit with Kelly, but it doesn't feel, annoyingly big. I've only maybe 3 times out in public have had people quote unquote recognize me. And it's always been other therapists. It just feels like, even though I have a large following, it feels like a tight knit community. And I feel, safe and positive sharing him. So that is my plan for now. That said, I do think that it is very fair for me to pay my son, Aiden, for his work in appearing on my Instagram pages. So for context, the quote unquote work that he is doing is appearing as a model regularly in my content, right? So I have 2 social media platforms, Sit with Kelly and Business of Therapy. I primarily post on Instagram, but I do also share on TikTok as well. And Aiden, my son, shows up in content in feed, in reels, in carousels, in my stories on both of my accounts. He's also featured in paid brand deals on social media. I've done a few campaigns where I've sort of included him as I don't know, just like a side actor. But I am hoping to move more into the motherhood space this year, in which case he will be featured like even more prominently in those ads as well. And so, I think it is really, really fair to pay him for his work. I personally see my business benefit from this. I get higher engagement on posts that show him. He's very cute. And, I think that that really matters. It also helps me and my business and my family to save money for taxes, and it's setting up Aiden for his future. So we're using this money to save for his retirement and also set up some high yield savings accounts for him, which we will talk about later in this episode. As he gets older, like I said, I may change my mind about my comfortability with showing his face, or he may change his mind, right? Right now, he's 8 months old. He can't, consent one way or the other. And so I am choosing for him and paying him accordingly. But when he gets to be 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, if he doesn't want to appear in content, he will have the choice to make with that. And I really want him to have that agency of knowing he can say no. And also, if he does say yes, I want him to directly benefit from it. Like, yes, the money that I earn in my business directly benefits my family, right? It allows us to have a nice home, to take nice vacations, to buy him nice things, to send him to a nice daycare and eventually school, all of that. But I also want him to have direct benefits for his own money, his own savings accounts, his own retirement. And that to me is a big pro of paying him for this work. So I'm going to share how I set this up. I would definitely encourage you to consult with your CPA. Mine helped me to come up with this plan. He is an accountant who specializes in creators and digital products, which I know is not most of the people who are listening here. So what I actually did before recording this episode is I checked in with the team at Herd. If you're not familiar with Herd, they are like the accountant for therapists in private practice, and they co-signed these recommendations. So, take for that what you will. I will include my affiliate link for Herd in this episode. This is not sponsored by them, but I do think it is important that you check in with an accountant, whether it is the team at Herd, your own accountant, or otherwise, and get personalized advice for you and for your business, because it will vary depending on, how reasonable the pay is for the work that they're doing, what type of business you have set up, maybe the states that you live in, all of that. So definitely check with your own accountant. This is in no way accounting advice, legal advice. I am simply sharing what I am doing in my own business and what my CPA advised me. Okay, so first off, I'm going to read a little excerpt that Herd sent me. They said the IRS does allow children to be compensated for legitimate work performed for a business, including modeling, appearing in marketing content, social media appearances, and brand campaigns. If the child is genuinely participating in the business's marketing activities and the compensation is reasonable for the work being performed, this can be a legitimate business deduction. A major piece here is making sure the pay is at fair market value, meaning it should be comparable to what you would reasonably pay someone unrelated to perform similar work, right? So that I think is like a very helpful baseline here. We are not just paying our children willy-nilly, but you need to figure out what are the deliverables, like how much are there appearing in your content, how much is this worth to your business? And so that's where I really worked with my own accountant to figure out what this plan was for me. Today's episode is brought to you by Alma. What if someone negotiated competitive rates with insurance on your behalf? What if you could take insurance while still building a private pay caseload? What if you always knew when and how much you'd be paid? It's all possible with Alma. Too often, therapists leave insurance due to low pay, paperwork, or unreliable payments, but Alma is changing that. Because Alma believes that when therapists get the support they need, mental health care gets better for everyone. Get private practice support at helloalma.com/Kelly. That's helloalma.com/Kelly to get started with your first 2 months free. Now, the way that this is working from a logistical standpoint is my business pays like a quote unquote management company for Aiden, which is basically like a sole proprietorship. And that sole proprietorship then pays Aiden to perform outside services by being a model in my content. I have contracts in place for this. There are invoices set up for this. And that is really important to have that documentation. The way that I have set it up for myself is I am paying him a weekly fee that is all inclusive of basically the rights that I have to have him model for my business. So he is performing modeling services for both Instagram accounts, both TikTok accounts, paid ad usage for myself for any ads that I run for the business, brand partnership content, and any paid rights I give brands to run ads with his face. And so that documentation is really clear for me in the contract that I have set up. And, if you scroll through my page, it's very clear that he is appearing in content regularly. That documentation is really critical, right? So that is something you're going to want to talk to your accountant about and figure out, are you able to do like a blanket weekly fee like this? Do they want you to instead do like a fee per video? How can you best document like the work being performed, the hours worked, the content shot, the campaigns they participated in, all of it. But you really want to make sure that you have like a good plan set up with your accountant in terms of documentation in case you should ever be audited by the IRS. So the way that I am doing this is he's getting paid a weekly retainer of $305 per week. And so for 2026, we have 52 weeks in the year. And so that will come out to $15,860 for the year. Now, this next part really varies a lot depending on your business and your payment structure. If you have them set up as a 1099, a W-2, if you have an S-Corp, all of that. So definitely consult with the CPA on this. But it is my understanding that for my business, because these are personal services for talent fees, he does not owe any like self-employment taxes on this income. And because the annual total is less than the standard deduction for 2026 of $16,100, he does not owe any federal income tax either. Again, this really varies, but the way that my accountant helped me set this up, basically, he's not paying any taxes on this because it's less than $16,000 per year. And so he's able to have that money. I'm able to save on that money in terms of my own business and income and taxes. And I'm able to pay it to my son without him having to pay additional taxes on it. And so that is really cool. Now, what am I doing with this $15,860 that Aiden is getting paid annually? So for 2026, I plan to put $7,500 of it into a custodial Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is basically a retirement account, and the limit is $7,500 per year. So that is what I am paying him. And the remaining portion I'm putting into a high yield savings account in his name as well. And so it's basically going to be about half and half is going to go into long-term retirement plannings for him. And the other half will go into a savings account that has like a high interest rate. So that way he's able to save. And I think this is really incredible because starting retirement savings this early can be so powerful for him in terms of like a long-term return. So this was just like a little snippet that I grabbed from Google. So if you invest $7,500 annually into a Roth IRA for a child for the first 18 years of their life, that will total $135,000 in contributions, right? Meaning that if he chooses to remain in my content for the next 18 years, I will eventually put in $135,000 from my business into paying him. Now, by the time that Aiden is ages 65 to 67, if we assume a 7 to 10% average annual return over 50 years of tax-free growth, he will have $2 to $4 million just from that $135,000 that I contributed. So this is huge. And I think is just like a really powerful strategy for building long-term wealth for your family. They have to be doing legitimate work in order to have a Roth IRA, which Aiden is doing by modeling in my business. But by doing that, right, by appearing in content, he will retire already with $2 to $4 million just from this job that he has of appearing in my content. And I think that that's something that is not talked about often enough. I think that there's a lot of like hate and backlash for like families who choose to show their kids online sometimes. And I think that if we are not paying our children, I can definitely understand the argument there of, like profiting off of your child's likeness and all that. But when I look at it this way, I know for myself, I would have loved, like if I could have $4 million saved in retirement and only had to appear in content as a child, like, I'm not having to send him to like a studio and casting calls and like doing all this stuff. He's able to show up in my own home and smile for a reel and we can call it a day. I think that that is just like so, so, so valuable. Like that gives him so much freedom. And then same thing with the high yield savings account, right? Like he's also getting that money there. He will have access to that, much earlier. He won't need to wait until he's retirement age in order to access that. But that interest will also compound over time, which will have a really meaningful impact. Yeah. And so I think that that's just like really worth noting. And I'm really proud to be able to do this for him. I'm really excited that him appearing in my content is going to help set him up for like a really great, stable financial future. And it's something that I don't think that we talk often enough about. Obviously, please consult your own accountant with this. This is not tax advice, but I do think it is a really interesting way to create both tax savings for your business and for yourself and for your family, and also to think about wealth building strategies for your children. And so if this is something that you're considering, reach out to your own accountant. They should be able to advise you on this. If they are not open to it, again, the team at Herd is. So I would definitely check in with them as well. And I will say that, as long as you see Aiden in my content, he is getting paid to be there. So I feel really good about that. And I hope that you feel good about that too. And I will see you in the next episode. Today's episode is sponsored by Jane, my fave electronic health record software that helps you handle the daily admin tasks for your private practice. The Jane team understands that therapists need the amount of time spent on notes to be short and sweet. This is why I love Jane's template library. Jane's community members, myself included, have given you access to our templates for you to use and customize to make notes faster than ever. To see how Jane can help you spend more time doing what you love, head to the show notes to book a personalized demo. And use the code Kelly2month when you sign up for a 2-month grace period applied to your new account. Thanks for hanging out with me today. My goal with this podcast is to help as many therapists as possible. So if you found this episode helpful, would you please do me a huge favor and leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this? As a thank you, every month I'm gifting one lucky reviewer a free month of done-for-you Reels ideas inside of my Reels membership. I'll see you here next Wednesday and talk to you soon.